Today, a rare space event is happening. It's so out of the ordinary that for the first time in about 20 years, the Space Weather Prediction Center has issued a Level 4 geomagnetic storm watch alert.
The severe solar storm could trigger colorful auroras as far south as Alabama. The Space Weather Prediction Center says at least 5 coronal mass ejections have been directed toward Earth. If strong enough, the storms could impact infrastructure, potentially disrupting communications, the electric power grid, navigation, radio, and satellite operations here on Earth. NOAA issues these alerts not just for stargazers, but also to notify the operators of these systems so they have time to take protective action.
A massive solar storm is about to hit the Earth. It could take down telecommunications and GPS services. There's warnings coming out from NOAA. If this is anything similar to the Carrington Event of the 1800s, it could be very bad, even potentially leading to grid down situations. Now, this isn't to drive fear in any way. We can look at the Bible and trust that God is with us. We'll look into all of this, but this is something to definitely be prepared for. Massive solar storm to hit Friday evening could disrupt communications, power, and GPS, NOAA warns. The Space Weather Prediction Center from NOAA has issued a severe G4 geomagnetic storm watch for the evening of Friday, May 10th. G4 is the second highest grade of geomagnetic solar storm, and additional solar disruptions may cause continued geomagnetic storm conditions through the weekend, according to NOAA. Coronal mass ejections and solar flares appear to be directed at the Earth, and the storms they produce at G4 intensity can potentially disrupt satellite communications, such as GPS and certain internet connections, certain parts of the electrical power grid, radio signals, and possible cell phone communications. A Space Weather Prediction Center alert advises that Friday's G4 storm could cause possible widespread voltage control problems, and that some protective systems may mistakenly trip out key assets from the power grid. Satellite navigation systems could be degraded or inoperable for hours, with high-frequency radio sporadic or blacked out. In the 1800s, a massive solar storm hit the Earth. It's known as the Carrington Event. The Carrington Event was the largest recorded solar storm ever recorded. It sparked a huge geomagnetic storm that wreaked havoc with technology. Telegraph communications around the world failed, with reports of sparks showering from telegraph machines, operators receiving electric shocks, and papers set ablaze by the rogue sparks. There are some similarities between that event and what could happen tonight with this geomagnetic storm. We'll look at that right now. During the Carrington Event, the sky was so crimson that many who saw it believed that neighboring locales were on fire. Americans in the South were particularly startled by the northern lights, which migrated so close to the equator that they were seen in Cuba and Jamaica. Elsewhere, however, there appeared to be genuine confusion. In Abbeville, South Carolina, masons awoke and began to lay bricks at their job site until they realized the hour and returned to bed. It's a huge geomagnetic storm when northern lights are seen that south within the United States or around the world, and we're going to see that within this event as well. Solar Storm Watch, why we may be able to see the northern lights from South Florida. Within this article from the Palm Beach Post, similar things about concerns of what it could do to the electrical system. Space weather forecasters are concerned enough about impacts to power grids and radio and satellite operations from the volley of explosive solar magnetic fields that they are working with federal emergency officials to mitigate any disruptions. During the Carrington Event, they were seeing the northern lights all the way down in South Carolina, and so seeing them potentially in southern Florida means that this could be a similar type of event. Here on history.com, it says, what would take place if the Carrington Event happened today? Ice core samples have determined that the Carrington Event was twice as big as any other solar storm in the last 500 years. What would be the impact of a similar storm today? According to a 2008 report from the National Academy of Sciences, it could cause extensive social and economic disruptions due to its impact on power grids, satellite communications, and GPS systems. The potential price tag between 1 trillion and 2 trillion. Again, this video is not to cause fear in anyone, but to get you to be ready to prepare for what could happen. It's always smart to be prepared for something and to be prepared for the worst. In a grid down situation, website TechValueit and urban survival sites say it could cause economic losses, national security risks, threats to healthcare systems, personal devastation, chaos ranging from minor inconveniences to grave losses of life. Emergency services and recovery efforts would be impacted. A true grid down situation could last weeks or months. Unforeseen events would occur. If the grid totally went down within parts of the United States or the world, you have to imagine what life would be like without any technology. No trucks running, no vehicles working, no cell phone, no power, no heat, no AC. Everything is ran off of electricity these days. The trucks that deliver food to grocery stores will not even run in themselves. So this could be a huge event, something definitely to be prepared for and keep your eye on. Those of us who trust in Jesus Christ, we can trust that He will guide us through every situation of life, so no fear. We'll get into that a little bit in the end of the video, but something to consider. This is happening right after the solar eclipse that just took place. Many seemed, myself included, like that could be a warning to the United States, and we can look at a few Bible verses that reference this as well. Of course, Luke 21, 25, and 26, and there will be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Of course, Genesis 1:14 as well. Then God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons and for days and years. Anytime something happens within the sun, moon, and stars, it is to be considered if this is a sign from God, because He said that's one of the ways He'll speak to people, and that's one of the reasons they were created. Many people are wondering, myself included, why we're just being warned of this the day of. It seems like this would be something they would have prior knowledge of this event taking place. Maybe not, but it is kind of strange that on the very day of this event, just a few hours before it happens, we're getting this warning. Now, this comes into the play of just to be prepared. Be ready to have extra food on hand, extra water, batteries. You can have a Faraday cage. Put your electronics into something that is completely covered in metal, a metal trash can, a Faraday cage, and the electronics would be safe from an electromagnetic pulse. I have seen some articles warning that any electronics that you don't want to be damaged may be unplugged from the power system because power surges could run through the lines. So any computers or anything like this that you don't want fried, you should definitely unplug from the system. Anything that's plugged in, and from my understanding, even unplugged if it's bad enough, could suffer consequences of being destroyed and fried from this electromagnetic pulse. God knew the beginning from the end. That's one of His names, the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end. God knows everything that's going to take place within the earth. So there's really no reason for us as Christians to fear anything that could happen. The verse about men's hearts failing them for fear of those things coming upon the earth is during the tribulation. We're not in that right now, but the way I take that verse seems to be that God does use the sun, moon, and stars for sending signs to the earth and the nations. But again, us as Christians, we have no reason to fear. There's a few verses I want to read here so you can have peace in this, but just don't forget to be prepared for anything that could happen upon the earth. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. I sought the Lord, and He answered me and delivered me from all my fears. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened, and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. I'm trying to rush this video out with very little editing so people could get this message before the event starts to fully take place, because again, it is smart to be prepared with water, with food, with anything you would need, flashlights, putting your electronics in places where they could be safe, just these different types of things to be prepared for this event, because we are seeing similarities between the Carrington event and what is going to take place starting tonight on May 10th. If something does take place on that same scale, it could fry electronics in a huge way and potentially cause a grid down situation. So we need to be on alert for this. But again, this video, all my videos, are not to drive fear into people, but for them to be prepared to put their trust in the Lord first and foremost. And again, it seems strange. The solar eclipse over the United States seems like a sign from God, a warning from God. There's many other things surrounding that. I'll make a video on that soon. But with this event taking place, is this a warning from God? Is this another sign in the heavens? Well, whatever it is, I know for sure it's most important to put your trust in the Lord Jesus Christ, be prepared for anything that could take place, and be in prayer, be in worship, read the Bible, follow God, because when we're with Him, we have nothing to fear. And so that's my main message to you through this video. Hope this helps. Thanks for watching, and God bless.